the recording get started, and yeah, recording get started. So let me open my Postman. So I believe you also install the Postman in your machine. Postman will not require to do the performance testing, but it will easy to explain you, right? If you understand the Postman tool, okay, because the UI is very simple. The mapping is very simple in the Postman. That's why. Okay. So I have, and it is very good API testing tool to do the performance, to do the manual testing and the automation testing. Okay, and let me open the API online. Yeah, so here you can see I have used, let me close all this thing from my screen, close all tab. Here you can see that I have multiple method here, right, in the screen. Get method, post method, put method, patch method, delete method. So I will quickly revise the thing, what you can do using the get method. Using get method, what action you can do? You can fetch the data, you can download the data, right? Using post method, guys, you can mute yourself. Prashant, I think you can rejoin the call. I think after then you can see my screen. Okay, you can rejoin the call. After then you can see my screen. You can mute Prashant. I'm hearing a lot of background noise from your side. Give me a second, guys. Because I don't want to miss anyone. Because the class is very long, 2 hours. You will miss lot of topics actually if you miss the class. Yeah. So guys, one request from my side, please attend the class on time. Okay. Okay. We can start now. You can mute yourself, please. So in yesterday class, we have seen that Prashant, you can mute yourself.
Drona, Pallavi.
Yeah. So we have seen that we have multiple methods are there. Get methods, post method. Using the post method, you can create your data, right? Using put method, you can update your data. Using patch method, you can also update the data. Delete method, you can delete your data, right? So now come to the JMeter, right? How you can open your JMeter, go to the D drive and open the application where you have installed, right? So I have put my JMeter inside the Apache JMeter folder, go to the bin folder and click on the window batch command. Window batch command, this one. Okay, click on the window batch command, this one. If you click on, double click on this window batch command file, your JMeter will get opened, right, along with the command prompt, right? It will executing the command also. So do not close this window, this command prompt window. Okay, So when you open the command prompt, when you open the JMeter, right? So by default, the test plan will be there, right? So after, on clicking on, let me delete this thing. Let me delete, right? So on clicking on right click, you will see the thread group. Here you can add the thread group, right? So I have explained you in the thread group, we have the three main property. The properties are number of thread, ramp up period, and the loop count. Okay, number of thread means if you enter one user, that means one user will hit your server. If I enter four, then four user will hit your server. If I enter 1,000, then 1,000 user will hit your server, right? And the ramp up period, right? For now, ignore. I will explain you when I will use that concept. Okay. Loop count, please ignore right now. Only understand the number of thread right now. Okay. Now, after adding the thread group, inside the thread group, we are adding the sampler. We are adding the sampler. Right click, click on the add and the sampler. Here you can see multiple sampler are there. Sampler means using the sampler, we using the JMeter, we are calling this request. We are calling this request. So you can see here in the sampler, right? It allows JMeter to send different types of requests to the server, right? In the real time, we don't have only web application. We have multiple types of the server, like web service, like database, file transfer protocol, like email server, right? So we have multiple types of the server. So using the sampler, the JMeter allow you to send different types of the request to the server so that we can connect with the server. So sampler is the medium to connect with the server using the JMeter. Okay. Now inside the thread group, I am adding one sampler, that is HTTP request. HTTP request means web application or web services, right? So I will click on that. In real time scenario, 70% this sampler is used. HTTP request. I will click on that. Inside the HTTP request, we have multiple fields, right? Let's suppose if you want to change the name of the sampler name, you can change the name here. Okay, let's suppose I'm putting as a employee. This is your employee sampler. Sampler means in simple language you can see understand resource. This is the resource. Something like that you can understand in very simple language. Let's suppose when I'm going to the make my trip. Okay, I'm going to the make my trip site. Can you see there are multiple resources are there, right? So let's suppose in JMeter, sampler is the, you can understand like a resource, right? So I will pass, this is the flight resource. This is the flight resource. What I'm trying to say, you can rename your sampler name. Whatever based on the scenario, you can rename the name. You can change the name. If you want to add some comment, you can add, right? And come to the, there is basic and advanced tab is there, right? In the basic, you have to provide the web server detail. You have to provide the web server detail. Let's suppose I'm clicking on the flight. I'm clicking on the flight. So I'm copy this URL and I will go here and pass it to here. This is your URL, right? So when you are mapping the things in the JMeter, when you are mapping your web application, right? HTTP request inside your JMeter, right? So in the you don't have to pass the protocol, right? It will by default, it will take, you can see it here, protocol, it will by default take. Okay, so I have not passed the protocol here. You don't have to pass. Okay, now server name or IP, right? So what is your server name? www.makemytrip.com. Up to here, we have to pass. Up to here, right? Server name. So guys, have you seen one thing also in your real time project, something like that, sometimes developer has created the URL using the IP dot and then API. Have you seen this type of URL, like using the IP address they have created his URL, generated his URL, server application
Yes.
URL, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes they will use the full name, right, the valid name, but in the real time when it's come to the production, it you will not see the IP, right? You will see the whatever the server name is, you will see the full name, you can't see the IP. You know, at the testing stage, right, they are using some IP for temporary basis. Am I right or wrong? Right? Okay.
Yes.
Now, what you have to do, guys, please understand how we are mapping the HTTP request in JMeter. Okay. Now, here you have passed the, what is this? Base URL. In the server name, you have to pass the base URL, right? Base URL. And in the path section, after the double slash, you have to pass that thing. That means your resource. That means your resource, you have to pass it here. So what is the resource here? Flight. I will go and take flight. I will go here and pass the flight. I will pass the flight. So when I append this protocol server name or path, so can you create the URL by appending all the things? Protocol plus server name and plus path. Can you append all the things? What is your server protocol? HTTP, right? This is your protocol, right? Now server name, what is the server name? That is base URL. This is your server name. So I will copy this thing and I will pass it here. This is your server name. Now what is your path? This is your path. So I will pass the path. So can you see your URL get created by appending all the things, right? Now I will go to the Google Chrome and I will right click on button, right click on and click on the inspect element, right? Go to the network section, and click on the flight and check the logs, check the networks. Let me again click on the flight, make my trip. Okay, let me clear this thing and let me again call. Okay, the calling get completed. If I scroll down, yeah, this is your call, right? I will explain you how you can identify the correct one. Okay, don't worry. So I will copy this. Otherwise, let's understand the very simple stuff. I will remove this thing. Let me remove. I don't want to use the resource here. I don't want to use. Let me clear and call this API. Simple stuff. Let's understand the very simple stuff. Yeah. When you inspect the element, what is the request URL? This is your request URL, right? Which you have already created. Which you have already created here. Correct? But I have not clicked on the flight resource. Can you see the flight in the URL? Request URL? No. So what I will do here, for now, I will remove the flight from here. Clear? Now, when I go, can you see which method it get called? Which method it is? Get method. So I will go here and select the get method. I will select the get method, right? My mapping is complete. My mapping is done. Okay. Now let me, I'm leaving this thing right now. Okay. I will explain all the things. Don't worry. Now, in the thread group, I click on the thread group, right click on the thread group and click on the right click and the arrow icon. Go here and click on the listener. Now, in the JMeter, in the performance testing, listener is the very, very important stuff. If you not understand the listener concept, you can't represent yourself to your, in front of client. You can't understand the graph actually if you not understand the listener concept. So inside the thread group, we are adding the listener, and inside the sample request, you can also add. Inside the, I think, inside the test plan, you can also add listener. Okay. Inside the test plan, also you can add the listener. Inside the thread group, you can also add the listener. Inside the request, right, you can also add the listener. Now the question is, I'm asking listener, but you are not able to understand what is listener, sir. Okay, so let me give you the brief idea about the listener. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. I already multiple time I'm reminding, like we have the class, and I also told you that install the Skype in your mobile, right, so that you can see the notification. So I would recommend install the mobile Skype in your mobile, so that when we have some update, I will drop the message in the Skype so that you can see, because every time it's not possible to open your screen. So guys who are not able to see my screen, please rejoin the call. I think everyone can see my screen, right, guys?
Yes.
The person who is not able to see my screen, you can Suraj, can you see my screen now? Okay, fine. Let me mute. Suraj, let me know if you can't see my screen. Now come to here. Now, I told you the listener. Now the question is, you are asking listener, sir. But please explain me the listener. What did you mean by the listener? Okay. So the listener means when we execute our sampler, it display the result in the form of graph, in the form of table, in the form of tree, right? It accumulate your result and show the result in the form of table, graph, tree. That is known as a listener. Let's suppose I executed this particular sampler. After executing the sampler, you have the some response, right? So listener, what it will do, it will show you the result in the form of graph, table, right? In the form of tree hierarchy, right? They will display the result in the form of tree, table, graph, right? So let me show you. We have uh, Tulsi, you can mute yourself. So here you can see I have written listener allow us to view and analyze the sample request and response in the form of table, graph and tree. Right, listener can be added anywhere in the test plan, which I have already explained you. Listener we can add inside the test plan also, inside the sampler also, inside the thread group also, right? So what listener will do, it will gather all the data from the element and show the data in the form of table, graph and tree, right? And you can also save data in the form of file, right? So when you right click on the listener, can when I go, I'm going to add inside the thread group. At the bottom you can see the listener component. If you right click, you can see all are the component which are listed here. The first one is view result tree, summary report, aggregate report, backend listener, aggregate graph, assertion, right? There are multiple view result in table, in which 5 to 6 are we are using in the real time. Okay, that I will explain you. So I'm going to add one listener, that name is view result tree, and I'm going to add one more listener, one more thing. We can add multiple listener in a test plan, in a thread group, in a sampler. There is no restriction that we can add only one listener. You can add multiple listeners. So I have added one listener, that is view result tree, and I am going to add the another listener, view result in table, right? So when you click on that, you will see view result in tree. You can rename your listener name, and here you can see the result, right? And view result in table, here you can rename this thing, and here you can see multiple columns are there: sample, start time, thread name, label, sample time, status, byte, send byte, latency, connection time. Guys, please try to understand this thing and keep the eye on the screen, because it's very important in JMeter. Okay. uh, if there are multiple thread group, do we need to add listener in each group? No, if it is common, then you can add only one. If for all thread group we have a different scenario, then you can add. Okay, but I will explain you, don't worry sir. Okay, I have added two listener, view result tree and view result table, and added one sampler, make my trip. Okay, and I'm going to the thread group and applying the user as one. I'm applying the user as 1, and can you see here we have green arrow icon. Green arrow icon. This arrow icon is say you to start your execution. Okay, when I click on the arrow icon, it will ask you if you have created this test plan first time, then it will ask you to save your test plan. So I'm going to click on yes. I'm going to save this test plan. Select one directory. I have selected this directory, performance testing. Inside that, I'm going to add one test, the performance, test performance, or something like make my trip. This is make my trip project. Okay, make my trip project, right? So can you see by default it's showing you the .jmx file, which I have already explained you in earlier classes. When we are saving the test plan extension should be in the .jmx. It is very, very important question, guys, right? And save. So that particular test plan gets saved inside the performance testing. Here you can see here, make my trip, and the file extension is JMX. Java Management Extension. Okay. Now, guys, you can mute yourself. Now, I have passed here number of thread as a 1. That means one user will hit your server. And let me click on this arrow icon. Can you see it? Can you see it here, guys? Let me clear this thing actually. Clear all the.
Excuse me, where I can see where I saved?
Sorry, come again, sir.
Where I can see the folder which I saved.
Okay, where I can see. So when you click on, when you want to save, let's suppose I want to save this thing. Give me a second. If you right click here, you can see, let's suppose to save the test plan, right? And here you can select one directory wherever you want to save your this particular JMX file. You can select one directory, create one folder, and inside that folder you can create your .jmx file, right? So when you are selecting the things, you are knowing the things in which directory you are going to save, right? So if you go and manually check, you will see that particular file there. Clear? Okay, so I have run this thread group for the one user. Can you see in the view result tree and view result table? It will show you the result. Listener means it will show you the result, right? So when you go it here and see what is the response data, this response data is coming from the server. This response data is coming from the server. When I hit, guys, you can mute yourself. Someone is not muted, please. When you hit the make my trip URL, it calling to the make my trip server. You can see it here using the get method. When you go to the response, you will see, you can see the response here. Can you see the response here? The same response. Let me. How can wrap the things? I have to find the shortcut for that. Yeah, you can see the response. The response should be like that. Okay, this is your response basically, which you are getting from the server. in the HTML. All the component, like there are multiple component in this page, so which you are getting from the server, right? And if you go here, you can see the status code is 200, and you can see the header, response header, which we are getting from the server, right? If you preview this section, can you see the make my trip page here in the preview section, right? The same thing it display in the form of HTML code, and it will display in the response, right? So the same thing I am also getting here. Same thing I am also getting here, right? Which I am getting in network section in the response. Okay. Now you can see that thing in the JMeter also. Here you can see it's showing as a green. It's showing as a green. That means that this particular sampler is pass. That the assertion get pass. Right now, assertion means, guys, assertion. Assertion means assertion. Assertion means to validate your actual and expected. So guys, tell me, when you are doing the manual testing, when you can say the particular test case is pass, at what stage you are saying that particular test case is pass or fail? When you are saying, when you are doing the manual testing, when you are saying this particular thing is pass or fail?
When the actual result matches with the expected result.
Exactly. When your actual and expected, your actual result and expected result get matched, right? At that time you are saying that your test case is passed. So that is known as an assertion to validate your actual and expected, right? Here in this case you can see it's showing in the green icon, green symbol, shield icon, green, which is tick mark, right? That means that that particular sampler is get passed. That means we are getting the response successfully from the server, from the make my trip server, right? And you have the question that I have not added any assertion, then how it's showing me the green? So one thing, by default it will validate your status code 200. It's by default validating, even if you not add anything, right? In that case it will validate the 200. If it is 200 status code, in coming class I will explain you about the status code. We have multiple types of the status code, right? Let me show you in the API testing class. I have explained all the things in very detail, in high level. If you go here and status, HTTP status code, you can see it here. We have multiple status code: client error, server error, successful response. These three are important: successful, client error, server error. I will explain you in coming classes, don't worry. Okay, so successful status code is 200, 201, 202 and 203. So when any data is successfully get created or get updated or get deleted or get downloaded successfully, in that case you will get the success status code, that is 200 or 201 or 204, depends on the scenario. Okay, again I am repeating the same thing. If data is successfully created, updated, deleted, or fetch successfully, is it's showing the successful status code, that is 200 series, 200, 201 or 204. Guys, you can mute yourself, please. Okay, in that case you will get the successful status code. So similarly in JMeter, it's by default assertion is added by the JMeter, right? If status code is 200, then your test case get passed. Apart from any one, like 404, 401, 50 series, right, the test case will get failed and you will see the red here. So if you go to the sample result, you can see it here somewhere. Here you can see response code. Response code. That means when we connect with the server will return the response to the user along with the status code, right? And if that status is successfully operated, then it will return 200 series, that is 200. You can see it here. Okay, so this is the one listener. This is the one listener where you can identify the things. Okay, where you can identify the things. Now the second one. Now second listener. If I go here in the second listener, there are multiple columns. The first one is the sample, second one is the start time, third one is the thread name, label, sample time, status, byte, send byte, latency, connection time. Let's discuss each and every one in detail. So guys, please concentrate in the class, because in JMeter everything is the component. If you understand the component, then you are master in the JMeter. Then you can represent yourself as a 3 to 4 years of the experience after taking this course, guys. Okay, now I have added the view result tree, right? Sample means how, sample means number of user. One means this is the first sample. This is the first sample. Start time. Start time means when your server, when your client connect with the server. This is the start time. So when I clicking on the make my trip, let's suppose at 12:50 I click on the make my trip, right? That is your start time. In second and millisecond, along with the second and millisecond. So when I hit this make my trip, at that time the start time was 12 o'clock 38 minutes 33 seconds and 202 millisecond. Right, so start time means when you hit that particular request, when your execution is started, That is the start time. Okay. Now thread name. Thread name, you can see it here. So thread name means number of user. For let's suppose what I'm doing here, I'm changing the name as a 3. So guys, tell me, what did you mean by the 3 here? What
Three
did you mean
users
by the
hitting
3?
the server.
So 3 user will hit the server. 3 user will hit your server. I will clear this thing. Clear this thing. This is the icon you can see at the top. Using this floor icon, right? You can clear your view result tree. You can clear the things. You can clear the data, right? So I will click on that. Can you see there is no data right now? All get clear, no data is there. So using this icon you can clear your data. Let's suppose you are doing the fresh execution, you don't want the existing data, you have to click on this icon, your data will get clear. Guys, in between the class I will explain you all the functionalities of this button, this icon, when it's come in the uses. Okay. Now I have increased the number of user 3 and going to run. Click on run. Now you can see your execution is happening. Can you see your execution get completed? Execution get completed and click on here. So guys, can you see my machine time here? What is your time in your machine? Can you say? What is the time in your machine? 12 o'clock, 12:53, right? Can you see at the top of the machine? 12:53 here. At the bottom, you can see it here. My machine time is 12:53. So can you see the time here when I hit this server? So that time will display here along with the second and the millisecond. This, right? Sample means number of user. This is first. Sorry, come again, sir.
I was a little behind. Excuse me.
Yeah, zone wise it will be different. If you are working in US, UK, Europe, Canada, so based on that time it will display here in the column. Okay, it's not the Indian time. If you are hitting from some other zone, then that particular zone time will display.
I think I was a little behind. Well, with this.
Little behind means, sir?
A little behind with these things in Gmeter.
Okay. Okay, no problem. You can go through with me. You have to do fast actually. Okay, so you can see it here. The start time you can see. Sample means I have used 3 users, so that 3 user will display here. 1, 2, 3. Sample. Okay. Now thread name. Thread name means this is thread group and 1 is the iteration. For the 1 iteration, this is the first user. For the second, for the first iteration, this is the second user. This is the second user. Inside the thread group 1, this is the first user who hit the server and username, let's suppose Vikas. This is the second user for the thread group 1. This is the second user. Let's suppose this is Rahul. And this is the third user. Let's suppose Mayank. So this is the name of the user. Right. If I change here 4, then it will show one more group, that is thread group 1 -4. That means that it is 4th user. It is 4th user. Okay. Now the label. Labels means thread name. Sorry, sampler name. Which sampler name it is? that this is your label. That label will display here, flight. Okay. Now sample time. What did you mean by the sample time? Guys, please concentrate. Sample time, because this thing is common, you can easily understand, but the things which are related to the time, that is very important, because in the performance testing every is time, every is time. Okay. Sample time is also known as response time. Sample time, guys, please write it down. I will share the latest document with you today, end of the class. Who has done the payment, I will share you this document. You can go through that. Okay. So with the latest document, right? Response time. Response time is also known as sample time. It is also known as load time. It is also known as ellipse time. So in some of the project they are using sample time. They are asking to the sample time. In some of the project they will ask load time, they will ask ellipse time, and they will ask response time. So do not get confused. All are the same thing. I have explained you all the probability, means for the same person it's having the multiple name. Okay, now let's understand what is the sample time. Okay, let's suppose this is your client. This is your client, make my trip. When I hit the request, when I call the API, when I hit the, let's suppose URL, let's suppose flight hotel, then what happened? It will connect with the server. It will connect with the server. So it will connect with the server, then server will start the processing and finding the things, right? After processing is completed, then server will return the response to the client. First thing, client is sending the request to the server. Here you can go through the previous graph. Yeah, client is sending the request to the server. Server check the request, right? And based on the request they start processing, right? After processing will get completed, response comes back to the client. Response comes back to the client. So, and this, the total times taken to send the request to the server and start the processing, and again server to client, that whole time is known as a response time. Response time. Let me go down. That whole time is known as a response time. Okay, I think you have not understand. Let me make this thing very clear concept. Okay, I'm the college student, right? I am the college student. Let me go here and draw the picture. Guys, performance testing is not an easy testing. It's very tough. Okay, you have to understand the simple concept, right? If you understand the component in the J-meter, you are master in the J-meter. Let's suppose this is me. This is me. I am the student. I'm the student, right? College student, right? And this is my college. This is my college, my engineering college, my engineering college, right? So I have some work in my college. I want to get the examination hall ticket, examination admit card or hall ticket from my college. The examination is coming on, I think in December. Let's suppose in December my examination will be, and I want to go to my college and collect the hall ticket, the examination ticket from my college, and again come to my home, right? So what I did, I will go to the college, I will start walking, I will start walking from here. I will start walking at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. I start walking at 12 o'clock. Walking at 12 o'clock. And I reach to my college at 1 o'clock. Sorry, not 1 o'clock, 12:30. Let's make as a 1 actually. Simple concept. 1 o'clock, 1 hour. So guys, tell me, I leave the home at 12 o'clock and I come to the college at 1 o'clock. Where I have spent 1 hour? Tell me. Where I have spent 1 hour? Why I am taking 1 hour? I started walking at 12 o'clock and I reached to college at 1 o'clock. Where I have spent 1 hour? Guys, simple question. Simple question I am asking you, where I have spent the 1 hour. So 1 hour, can I say?
On the way.
On the way, right? I was traveling, right? I reached 1 o'clock. Then I come to my college and come to the, the examination counter, and I'm paying the money and he's giving me the hall ticket, right? So it will also take some time, right? Let's suppose 15 minutes, 15 minutes to start to give you the hall ticket. Give me a second. Oh man, can I say hall ticket? 15 minutes taken to get the hall ticket. So I come to the examination counter, I given the money or slip, then I get the hall ticket, right? So this is known as a process time. So what is the process time here, guys?
When I arrived and when I get the ticket.
Means the process time, can I say 15 minutes? 15 minutes taken to get the hall ticket, examination hall ticket, right? Agree?
Yes, yes.
So after getting the hall ticket, I again come to my, I don't want to spend time in my college with my girlfriend and the friend to go to the canteen and whatever you can talk to your friend or girlfriend. I don't want to do, because I'm very serious student. My examination is coming. I don't want to go anywhere. So what you are doing here, after taking the hall ticket, you directly come to your home. You directly come to your home, right? When you again, it's taking. So guys, tell me, at what time you started from here? I have not spent time here. Can I say 1 o'clock, 15 minutes or 16 minutes? I left the school. Can I say like that? I start walking from here at 1:16 p.m. Can I say like that? Because I have not spent with my friend and the colleague and with my girlfriend, right? I don't spend time in my college. I have taken the hall tickets and again come. I start walking. So can I say like that? I start walking at 1:16. Correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, when I start working and I reach to my home at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Right. So now what is your total time here? Now guys, calculate the total time. Now guys, you can help me to calculate me the total time. Help me guys. What is the total time to get in this whole process? Tell me. Total time which I have expended.
2000.
2 hour 15 minutes. Okay, total time is 2 hour 15 minutes. Okay, okay, okay. Let me calculate. Can I say to go from home to college? There is 1 hour. 1 hour. So can I say one 1 hour here? And to get the hall ticket, can I say 0.15 minutes? Right. And to come from is college to home, it's taken almost 45 minutes, right? I think I can use this one. It will be clear. Total time 1 hour from home to college and 15 minutes I have expended in the hall ticket process, right? And again 45 minutes I have taken from come to college to the home. So guys, tell me the total hour. Can I say 2 hours or 2.5 hours it is? I think one person told me 2.5 hours. 2 hours. 2 hours I have taken, right? Give me a second, guys. Give me a second, guys. Where is my mobile? Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. Could you please 1 minute hold? Give me a second. Yeah, give me 1 minute, guys. 1 minute, guys. Give me 1 minute. So, where I was. So, can I say 2.5 and 2 hours, right? So, this is your response time. can I say this is your response time in simple language? Now come to the technical side. This is the make my trip, right? This application, make my trip, or any application, ICCI Bank, any application. When you are searching anything, it's connect with the server, start processing, then it will give you the response, right? The whole journey time is the response time in very simple language. Now I think got the concept of response time. If I simply read the theory concept, I think you will get confused like what you are trying to say. But by this example, it's very simple. Okay. After a request is sent to the application, response time measure how long it takes for a response to return back from the application. After sending the response, right, and get the data from the response and it's returned back to the initial position, right, how much time is taking, that is the response time. The same thing I have written here in the technical language. After a request is sent to the application, response time measure how long it takes for a response to return back from the application. Response time is important in the performance testing because it represents how long a user must wait for a request to be processed by application. This is very, very important concept in the performance testing. When you are doing the performance testing, your team lead, your manager will ask you what is the response time of this particular request, right? If you don't know the definition of the response time, you can't give your answer properly, right? So guys, tell me any question regarding the response time, simple concept or not? Clear? Now, in another language, difference between the time when request was sent and when the response has fully received. When we get the full response, right? Difference between this time. So can I, if I want to calculate the response time, can I do the subtraction between 12 to 2? Can I calculate the time or not? Response time. Tell me, guys. Initial time when I start the server, starting time of the server, starting time for the request of the request, starting time of the request minus at and time of the response when I received. Can I say difference between these two times is the response time? When I minus 12 to 2, that is your response time. This is the formula to calculate the response time. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Now come to the next point. Okay, I will not explain right now this thing. Let's come to the latency. What did you mean by the latency? Can you see it here, latency? And guys, one more thing. In the column, response time should be displayed in the millisecond. So it's for the first request. For the first request, it's taking 1693 milliseconds to get the response. For the second user, it's taking 1808 millisecond. For the third user, it's taking 1830 second. Right? When Vikas Kumar hit the server, when I hit the server, I am getting the response in 1693 seconds. When Rahul hit the server, he is taking the response in 1008 millisecond. When Mayank hit the server, then he is taking in 1830 millisecond. Right? If you convert this millisecond into second, if you confuse in the millisecond in second, then convert the millisecond here. 1693. It's taking 1.6 second to display the response. 1.639 second to give you the response when first user hit the server. When first user hit the make my trip, this particular sampler, right? The second user taking 1808 second. That means it's taking 1803. That means 1.8 millisecond, 1.8 second. If you want to change in the minute, then 0.03 minutes it's taking. But by default, it will display in the form of millisecond. Do not communicate with your team or manager like it is second. Then if you understand this thing as a second, then it will great vary, man, great vary. Then can you see it here? 30 minutes it's taking to get the response. 30 minutes, it's huge. You know, if you hit the make my trip, if it is taking half an hour to display the response, can you use the make my trip in your future? Tell me, guys, you will use the make my trip or not?
No, it's not good.
No good, right? You will not use. Give me a second. My dad is calling me. My dad was calling me. So, okay, Selab, you have the question. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Because actually, I want to ask that is the response time depends on the system performance and the internet as well.
Exactly. That is the performance. This is the job you have to find where you are getting the time lag.
Okay.
Okay. Don't worry, I will explain you. Like, what are the when you hit the server? I don't know what is the obstacle in between this to connect with the server. Your network, your server issue, or you to connect internally, right? Let's suppose you are getting the response in 15 minutes, right? Then response time is 15 minutes. You have to report that thing to your developer, to your team, that I hit this particular request and it's taking 15 minutes. So developer will find the issue. Where is the issue exactly? Okay.
So because let's say if I'm testing the same URL in two different machines, okay, one is in Mac and another one is some another Windows laptop. So in Mac it is working fine, like I am getting in 1568 millisecond, but in Windows I am getting the response at 256, like it is taking more time to get the response. So should we raise this issue? Like this is an
Okay,
issue or
so if it is machine issue like OS issue, like in the Mac, it's taking less time. Let's say 1 or 2 second, 1 second, and in Window it's taking more than 1 second, like 2 second. So if there is minor difference, then we can okay with that, right? If there
okay,
is major difference, like it's taking 1 second, it's taking 5 seconds, right?
okay,
So you have to communicate with your team, right? That this is the difference, depends on the OS, right? You have to communicate with your team and report this thing to your team, and they will ask you what they will do. They will communicate with the BA person, with the business person, and communicate this issue with the business person, right? And they will ask you, yeah, this is the issue which you have to fix.
okay. And one more thing, because is this response time is like accountant in the specification? Like it is given from the client side that this must be the like response
Yeah,
time.
yeah. One thing, when we are doing the performance testing, so the client will give you one baseline that if the response is coming within 3 seconds, then it is okay, or 5 seconds, then it is an okay. If any response is coming after than 5 seconds or 3 seconds, then you have to report.
Okay, thank you, Vikas.
Okay. Generally, ideally 5 seconds, 3 seconds, right?
So that would be that given time would be specific to every call, every get call, right?
Every call, but sometime in some of the module we have the bulk of data, right?
Yes, yes.
Bulk of data. So in that case,
It may take more
let's
time.
suppose file uploading or file downloading. So obviously it will take some time as respect to the other module. When you
Correct.
clicking on the any element, it will take some time. So for that particular thing, we have some difference in the time. Okay.
Okay. That would be also given from the client end, right?
Yeah. That if it is not given, then you have to clear with the client.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Hello. Yeah. Speaking. Who's this? No. Thank you. Yeah, I will call back to your number. Give me a second. Yeah, sure. Sorry. So because I am the trainer, like the lot of because I am also doing my job actually. So uh, the person are connecting with me to again when we are starting the API testing classes. I will also want to attend. Okay. Anyway, so where I was, yeah, response time. So sometime what happened, guys? Sometime what happened? Well, you don't have to communicate with your client. Like you are doing, the client asking you that go and test the performance issue for this particular section. Okay, so you are going there and you are executing this thing. With the by applying the load on the server, and you get the result, right? And you can see it's taking that much of the time, right? So if it is sometime 3 millisecond, in between the 3 millisecond, then you don't have to communicate with the client that it's okay. It's not slow. Can I say as a slow? It's taking 3 seconds or like 2 seconds. No, we can't say that is slow, right? So if it is taking more than 10 seconds, more than 5 seconds, or client will ask you that they will specify you, if any calls is taking more than 5 seconds, please report me, right? Then you have to communicate with your client. Okay, that is the response time. Clear? Now come to the latency. Very important stuff. Latency. Okay. So guys, Latency. Latency is the when client send the request to the server, right? So in between time, the time taken to travel to get the first request of or response, that is known as a latency. When server will send the response and client will receive the response, so the time travel, the time in the time the time it's taking to reach to the destination, that time is the latency. So let's suppose I have hit the server at 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and it reached to the server, at 1 o'clock. So that is the latency. That is the latency. That is the latency. When server send the request at 116 and the client will start getting the first byte of the response, start getting the response, right? Let's suppose it start getting the response at 150 o'clock, right? So this is known as a latency, right? So when you comes here, yeah, latency. Okay, J meter measure the latency from just before sending the request, and just after first response has received. In between time taken is known as a latency, right? So if you calculate the latency, is the difference between time when a request was sent and time when response has started to be received. Let's suppose I started the time at 0 millisecond, right? And sending the request and total time is 2000 millisecond, right? 2000 millisecond. When server will return the response, I client will start getting the response, the first byte of the response at 10,000 millisecond. At 10,000 millisecond, right? So when the first byte of the response get received, that is the latency, not the whole response or request. When the first byte. So okay, let's take it as a very simple. All are taking food, right? In our home, all are taking food. I am hungry, and I'm asking to my mom that, Mom, I'm so much hungry, please give me some food. So mom is very, loving person, okay, in whole world. So what the mom is doing, she is going to the kitchen, and she is going to the, let's suppose, this is me, boy, he is hungry, right? At 0 millisecond, he asks to the mom that, hey mom, I am hungry, I want food. So he sent the request to his mom, right? So mom is going to the kitchen, and she is taking the food in the plate, right? And she come to the dining table, right? And she given the plate in front of you, right? When you take the first bite, when you take the first bite, that thing is known as a latency time, not the whole plate you have not taken. You have not eaten the whole food. You have taken the first bite. That is the latency time. You have not eaten the whole food. That is, if you have taken the whole food, that is the response time. You have only taken the one bite of the food. That is the latency. Okay. So in technical language, let's understand. Sorry. So I'm taking one example. We have one tape, one water tank, right? And in water tank we have one tape, right? So when I open the tape, the time taken by water to travel from one end to the another end, that is the latency. That is the latency. Let's suppose this is one water tank. This is one water tank. I'm adding this is your water tank. This is your water tank. This is your water tank, right? And this is the other end of the water tank. Other end of the water tank. You open the tap here. This is the water tank. Water tank. You open the tape here. You open the tape here, and water start flowing. Water start flowing. Water start flowing. When it reach to the another end, when it reach to the another end, the time taken when he open the tap and when the first water comes to the another end, that is the latency. Guys, you can mute yourself. Tulasi, you can mute the camera. Okay, that is the latency. Okay, here the same thing I have written here. The time taken by water to travel from one end to another end is called the latency. It's measure the unit are in millisecond. By default, this latency is in millisecond. This latency, right? Latency is millisecond, and we can also convert into second, minute, and hour. Okay. In performance testing, the term latency or better to call network latency. Network latency. Sometime, due to the network issue, it will take time to reach to that particular position, right? So it will also known as a network latency of a request. Time travel from client to server and server to the client, right? Some tester is also asking this thing, network delay, right? So latency has multiple name: network latency, network delay. So I am taking one example. Let's suppose I'm sending the request at 0 millisecond. To reach to the server, it's taking 1 second. Then what is the total time, guys? Total time to reach to the server is what is? What is the total time to reach to the server? I have started at 0, and to reach to the server, it's taking 1 second. So what is the total time here?
1 millisecond. 1 millisecond. Milliseconds.
Exactly. 1 second, right? 1 milli or 1 second, whatever the time unit is. Okay. Now, after getting the response, after getting the request by the server, right? Server will start processing the things, and it's taking the 2 seconds to complete the process. Now tell me guys, what is the total time here?
1 plus 2, 3.
Total time is here 0 plus 1, that is 1. Now tell me what is the total time here in this case, guys. Please try to understand. If you don't,
1 plus 2
total time is 1
plus
okay,
2.
0 plus 1, and again it's taking 2 seconds to complete the process, that is 3 seconds, right? After completing the process, then server will return the response. So to reach to the client, it's taking 1.2 seconds, right? So now tell me the total time, guys.
4.2 seconds.
4.2 seconds. 0 plus 1, right? 2 plus and 1.2 second, right? That is 4.2 second it's taking, right? So guys, tell me what is this 4.2 second based on my explanation.
It is a response time, maybe the whole response or elapsed.
Exactly, this is the response time. This
Latency.
is the response time. Okay, now tell me what is the latency time here? Network latency time here. You have to calculate the network latency time. Please calculate the network latency time.
It is 1 plus 1.2.
Okay, other person?
It should be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1.
You are asking that 0 plus 1 and then?
Plus 2.
Give me a second.
It is 1. 0 plus 1.
One by one, madam. 0 plus 1 and then?
That's all.
Plus 2.
Plus 2 also.
Yes, that is a processing time. Plus,
Okay, plus 2 and?
plus the first byte it's received, that might be 0.1 or 0.2 second. The minute it has received the first.
4.2.
Okay, let me explain you again. I told you in the case of latency, when I open the tap, when I open the water tap, the water come to the here at this position, right? That time we are not calculating the processing time. So if I go it here, I am not in the latency time, in the response time, you are calculating the processing time also. But in the latency time, you don't have to calculate the process time by the server. We have to only calculate the traveling time, right? Only traveling time. Now, what is the traveling time here? 0 plus
In one
this is
side or
one
on reach to the client is 2.
and 1 and what, and the process time is 2 seconds. So we don't
And
have to take
1.2.
and 1.2. We don't have to take the processing time, the 2 seconds. Right? We have to take only traveling time we have to take. right? So now the total time is 2.2 second. 2.2 second. Clear, guys?
Yes,
Guys, it is confusing stuff, right? So that's why make the clear concept. No one will explain you in very neat and clean way. Okay.
Yeah. Vikas, can you explain once again?
Okay. I'm again explaining you. So this is me, right? And this is my home. This is the college, right? I want to get the hall ticket of my examination, right? I started walking at 12 o'clock and I reached to the college at 1 o'clock. Then I went to the college, what do you say, examination counter and given money to the examination counter, and they started the process to give me the hall ticket. It's taking 15 minutes. Then after taking the hall tickets, I return back to the college, sorry, home, right? So this is the whole time is the response time. If you if you if you minus the processing time, then that is your latency time. That is your latency time. Only traveling time 12 to 1 and 116 to 2, not the 1 to 115, the process time. How many times taken by the server, we are not taking that time. We are only taking the traveling time, one point to another point and another point to the source point. Client to server, server to client. Only traveling time we are calculating. Right? Clear, sir?
Okay, Vikas.
So you can see it here. I have given one example, right? So that is the latency. Okay. Response time I have explained you, right? So guys, can I say response time is always greater than or equal to latency? First, greater than. Can I say response time is greater than latency always?
Yes.
Yes. So can I say response time is equal to also latency?
Yes.
Yes, we
Sometimes.
can say, because sometime what happen, the server will not taking time to give you the response. It when you connect with the server, it directly giving you the response quickly in
So
fraction of
this
second.
case process time is 0.
Yeah, process time is 0, right? So this is correct. This formula is correct. Now, can I say response time is equal to latency plus processing time? Can I say like that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what did you mean by the processing time? Processing time, what did you mean by the processing time? Or server time? Guys, what are the terms we are using in the real-time industry? I am explaining you all the terms because sometime in some of the project might be interviewer only using server time. They are not using the processing time. If they are asking you what did you mean by the server time, so do not get confused. I have not learned this. I have not used this. Processing server time means processing time. Sometime it might be happen, right? For one word we have the similar anonism, right? Now what did you mean by the processing time? The time that a server takes to process a request is called a server time or processing time. So let's see, browser, this is your browser, this is your browser, the Chrome browser, I browser, Firefox browser. This is your browser, right? Now you are sending the request. I told you what is the medium. In the earlier class, I told you what is the medium to connect with the server.
Internet.
Internet, right? And then we have to internally implementation. This is the internally implementation, guys. Okay, so it connect with the firewall. It connect with the firewall, right? So after connecting with the firewall, right, it's go to the web server. It's go to the give me a second. Yeah, it's go to the web server, then web server connecting to the app server, and app server connecting with the data server. So this connection, like internally process is happening here. Can you see it here? When internet connect with the firewall, right, connect with the server, then it's connecting with the web server, application server, then they are fetching the data from the database. Fetching the data from the database. So after, this is your college. This is your firewall is the college, right? And this is your examination counter. They will go pass your admit card. They will pass your slip one counter to the another counter to release the whole ticket, right? So when browser hitting the server through the internet, it connect with the firewall, then it firewall connect with the web server, then what the application server they are using and what database they are using. So this is the server time or processing time. Can you see it here? I have marked as an arrow. Server time, right? When your database gives you the data, then it's again come to the app server here, then it's again pass the things to the web server, then firewall, then again it's come to the browser. You can see the arrow up to here to here. This is end to end, that is response time or transaction response time. So can you see it here? Network time or delay. I call the request. It connect with the firewall or server, right? And I'm not including the here. You can see I return back this thing. It's returned back. So it's not taking the processing time here, right? It's returned back here. So from browser to firewall, right? It is the latency or network delay. Any question, guys? This architect is depends on the project to project, how the architect's person has designed. Guys, you can mute yourself. Okay, browser hit the through the internet, it connect with the firewall, then internally process is happening here. Web server, then app server, database, then database giving the response to the app server, then app server to web server, then firewall, then it's return, then response coming to the user, right? That is the response time. The process time is this one, the processing time or server time. This is taken by the server. That's why it is server time, right? Network time, right? To get the response time,
So here,
excluding the processing time.
so here the time travel, it's network time or latency in this design.
Sorry, come again.
So in this design, which you explained it, the travel time is latency between
Exactly.
browser,
Travel time from browser to
and firewall.
firewall or application, right? Only travel time. Not doesn't matter how they are connecting internally. That time we are not calculating.
And
Okay.
between firewall and database, we have only processing
Time, server time. Why server time? Because it's calculating by the server. Their server internally calculation are happening there, right? So guys, can you say me, I want the home loan calculator. Let me use the SDFC home loan calculator. So I want the home loan. I am giving the amount here 25 lakhs Indian amount, 25 lakhs, and tenure is 20 year and interest is 6.75. 6.75, right? I'm changing the value as a 50 lakhs and 20 years and 8% interest. So what did you think? 8.337. What did you think? How the data is reflecting here? When I'm changing the value here, it connecting with the server and internally calculation is happening there. And
Yes.
based on the calculation, it's giving me the response.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. So that is the processing time. Server, when the server started the processing and when the server returning the response. Okay. Now, come to here. Okay. Sample time is clear. That is response time in millisecond. Status means assertion. What is the status? It is passed. You can see by default it will validate 200 status code. 200 status code. Byte means the size of the request. Byte means byte represent the quantity of data in the sample response returned from the server. Right? Whatever we are getting this response by the server, right? So it is we can calculate the size in the form of byte. So that byte is showing here. Right? The size of the quantity of data in the sample response returned from the server, that is the byte, the quantity of data in the form of byte. You can see it here, response data. If you go here and check, you can see this is the response data, right? So this is the quantity of data which I get it from the server, that is in the bytes. So that bytes it is internally calculated. You don't have to understand the formula. It's internally calculated by the JMeter. Okay. Send byte means the byte which we are sending to the server. The client is sending to the server, not from the server I am getting. The bytes means, this bytes means which we are, the quantity of data which I am getting from the server. And send byte means the quantity of data which I am sending to the server. The request the client is sending to the server. Right? So that is in the form of byte. Okay, these two are not that much important in daily life, but just understand the term. Okay, now the latency, it's clear. Latency means that when this first user hit the sample request, and the traveling time between client to server and server to client, when he get the first byte of the request, that time is the 739 millisecond. Can you see the difference between response time and the latency? The
Yes,
response time is 1693 millisecond and latency is 379 millisecond. Agree?
Yes, it is. It's normally.
Okay. Now connection time. Connection time means when it's connect with the server. How many times taken to connect with the server? Right. So that time
Vikas,
is 56 millisecond. Depends on the user to user. You can see every user having separate time, different time. Right. The connection time is the time at which time and the time taken by the server to connect, the connection time, right? How many times taken to connect with the server, actually that time will represent here 56. Clear? Any questions, sir?
yeah, because actually I have some query. Can you
Yeah.
please go to the J meter again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see now their latency now, if for the first user there is 260 and for the
Mm-hmm.
second it is 164.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference between this. So why it is coming? Why there is a difference?
Why it is different? Let's suppose I am one user, you are one user, Rahul is one user, Priya is one user, right? They all are going from where is going from let's suppose this is Priya and this is Rahul and this is me, right? Same distance, right, to reach to the college, right? And I have started at same time. So guys, tell me, all will reach to the same time here in the college. Let's suppose I started at 12 o'clock, right? At 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock. Sorry. So guys, tell me, can you say all will reach at 1 o'clock?
No, not necessary.
Not necessary, because every having the different speed of walking,
Yes.
right? So this is the one reason. And second reason, can you see the start time of both the threads are different? You can see the difference in the millisecond,
Yes.
right? So it depends on the server, how fast it connecting with the server, right? Sometime you can see when we hit the server first time, it's taking lot of time to connect with the server. But when we are frequently using the server, have you noticed it start giving very fast, very
Yes.
fast?
Yes.
So
Sometimes. Yes.
due to the network issue or the travel time, sometimes they stop in between, they start eating something, they start eating ice cream, gupchup, pani puri, right, in between the way, that so that is huddle, that is the huddle means network issue. Sometime when this particular user hit the server, the server was poor, network was poor, so it's taking more time to connect with the server, right? When I have hit the server was good and fast. So but you have to notice it not the much difference.
Yes. Yes. There's not much difference.
Okay. So you want to learn more, or I can continue, or you can leave? The time is already over.
नहीं स्टॉप करते हैं.
Stop करते हैं? Okay. So guys, one thing, please, today is the last date, like you can please do the payment. Okay. So who has not done the payment, please do the payment. I will share you the updated document. You can go through the document, right? I will share you the document. You can go through the document, and do some practice. Open the JMeter and go through the document and do some practice. Okay. And one more thing, please install the Skype in your machine so that whenever we have some update or you have some query, you can just drop the message in the group or personal message you can drop. Okay. And one more thing, when we complete this batch, the recording session will get dumped. You can watch the recording session. And the another thing, on whoever interested in the API testing classes using Postman tool, that class will start from the 19th. If you are interested, then drop me the message, then I will share you the form where you can register. Okay, so thank you guys, and please do the payment who has not completed. Okay, thank you guys, have a nice day.
I have a question, please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi.
go ahead sir, go ahead sir.
In the JMeter,
Mm-hmm.
I can't, it doesn't work, I can't save, and I don't know how you can do in view result 3.
Okay, can you share your screen?
Yes. What is the screen? So we have this.
Okay, so what is your query here?
The problem is when I go to the file, I want to save, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here. Save or save test plan as?
Save, you can say. Save as it will create one new file actually. Save it.
Here.
Yeah, if you have not saved, then it will get saved.
And where I can going to see the open file in my computer.
You want to check this file, right?
Yes, but yes, where?
Okay, give me a second, ta, 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 ta. Click on open.
It's not opening.
No, click on file, but at the top, click on okay, give me a second. Okay, can you do the one thing, sir? Click on the save test as a plain test, save as.
Save test plan as?
Yeah, click on that.
Okay. It's not doing anything.
Okay, you can do the delete this plan. This is delete this test plan.
विकास इनका वो चल रहा है ना, तो थ्रेड चल रहा है, राइट साइड में देखिए.
थ्रेड चल रहा है.
हाँ, वो 17 दिख रहा है ना.
सर आप व्यू रिजल्ट ट्री में जाना. सॉरी, यू डोंट नो हिंदी. कुड यू प्लीज गो टू द व्यू रिजल्ट ट्री. View result tree or table, the listener. No, nothing is going on. Yeah, fine. Do the one thing, click on the test plan or thread group, click on the test plan, the test plan, sir, test plan, click on the test plan, click on the knife icon, you can delete, at the top you can see
Caesar icon.
Yeah, Caesar icon. I forget the name. You can click on the Caesar icon at the top, sir. At the top, header.
Fifth from the left side. Fifth from the left side, yeah.
Caesar icon, the red. Yeah,
the red one.
Toolbar, very good. Yeah, left drop that.
Yeah.
No, left. Come to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
The next one. The next one.
Below options, yeah.
Yeah. Delete this
Cut.
thing. Yeah.
Cut.
Cut.
I cut.
You are not able to cut. Okay, click on the thread group. Click on the thread group and then cut. Okay, fine. Right click and again create the thread group. Right click and again create, add the sampler. HTTP request. Okay. And then add the listener. Try to add inside the thread group. You are adding inside the sampler. You can add, but try to add. Yeah. Again, you can add some more if you want.
Okay.
Right. Click on and do Control S.
Control S. Nothing.
Yeah. No.
Nothing.
Nothing
So,
asking.
Control S.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. Click on the green button at the top. The green triangle. Yeah. This one. Green triangle. Yeah.
Toggle.
Not.
This.
No, sir.
Next to toggle.
Run.
Run. This.
Yeah. Click on this one. Yeah. And click on yes. Do you want to save the test plan or not?
It's nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. I will try to restart the computer for
Have
perhaps.
you changed any setting, something like that? Have you changed any setting? Because it's by default, it's going and save. Actually, go to the file. Yeah, go to the file. Yeah, click on. Okay, no. Save selection as display. Okay, go to the edit section. Go to the edit section. Generally, ideally, it should not be happen. Go to the edit. Okay, can delete. Okay, no, there is not. Go to the option. Go to the option or tool. Go to the tool. Go to the tool. Go to the tools. The next to option. Yeah, give me a second. I think, sir, you can. It's by default. It's saving your file actually. Give me a second. Let me check at mine. By default, where it gets saved actually. Give me a second. Save. In the meantime, you can close the JMeter and you can open the new one. One more thing, sir. Click on file. Click on file. Click on file. Go and open save test plan as. Is nothing. Save selection as. Click on save selection as. Below. Yeah.
Nothing.
Strange.
It's strange. Yes. I will try to restart it or maybe.
Yeah, you can restart the thing. I don't know why it's happening. By default, it's taking some places. Okay, it might be. Okay. So yeah, you can try. You can restart the things. Okay. If not happen again, then please contact me. Yeah. Other person having any query?
Yeah. Yes, hi Vikash, this is Kritika.
Yeah.
I just have a general question. That is, now we have, I mean, you explained performance testing using to check the application for 3 users, right? So my query is, what if the number of users might be 3? What if that 3 users want to do the different one application? They wanted to check the different resources. For example, the first user want to hit the flight, second user want to hit the whatever hotels, the third user want to hit the different thing. So if that is the case, how to check this performance of the application, whether it is working fine? Whether we need to create a different thread group, or we need to design this first user.
We have to create the different thread group, and inside that particular thread group, you have to add that particular resource.
Okay. Will you? I mean, will you be explaining that?
Because if you are adding one thread group, and inside one thread group, if you are adding any resource, so it will be applicable for all. Okay, so you have to add the another thread group.
Okay.
But don't worry, I will explain you such type of scenario. Don't worry.
Okay.
How you can achieve. Okay, any other one having any query? No?
No, Vikas. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sir. Okay, please do practice and I will share you the document. Okay. So thank you so much. Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
Vikas. Thank you, Vikas.
And we will meet next Saturday, Sunday. You have sufficient time. Okay. Bye bye.
சாத்திட்டீங்க கீழே விழுந்து கிடக்கா